We are live, as I believe. Let us hit. Hey guys, welcome to Conquer. No Conquer. We met. Oh my God. Hey guys, welcome to World Constraint Summits. And this summit is all about where we bring you the solutions, opportunities, and really dig into what is the action step that you can make wherever you are in this world. So unite our love to explore critical issues of extensions, create opportunities and solutions. Let us dig in it and let us get the speaker on. Let us get the speaker on. Let us just pin. Hey Felix, please link. Oh my God, add link. Co-host within Zoom. Hey Felix, can you hear me?
Yes, Tanja, how are you?
I am perfect. Can you hear me?
Sure, I can get you.
You can get me. That means you can hear me, correct?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. There was just something with the spotlight for everyone. Let's hit this on. It's spotlights. So welcome Felix to World Country Summits, and I have really looked forward to digging this conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Tanja. It's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Likewise, Felix. So guys, Felix and I, we will talk about the role of conservation, agriculture, oh my God, in protections, ecosystem, and diversity. So Felix, share a little bit about who you are, and I will invite people in. So share a little bit about who you are, the amazing organization that you are manager of culture and manager of.
Sure. So my name is Felix Mbewe. I'm a farmer here in Zambia, and also I work for Chimfunshi Wildlife Orphanage Trust. I'm the agriculture manager. Specifically, we're implementing conservation agriculture that is focusing on rebuilding the soil fertility, balancing the ecosystem, and encouraging the use of climate-friendly practices, not just here in Zambia, but across all people that get in contact with Chimfunshi. So for the past 3 years, we've been implementing this project here. And we are right now looking at off-rain season, we're doing up to 4.2 hectares of farmland. In the rain period, like now, we do up to 25 hectares of land. And mainly that has been the holistic approach for Chimfunshi to go beyond just looking after the primates, the chimpanzees that we keep in the Miombo forest, and the care for the entire sanctuary here. So it's so much to do with being part of the entire ecosystem, not just being one-sided. So I've been here, this is 3 years plus now, and the project so far is going on good, despite challenges here and there, but it's been good.
Amazing.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the practice inside. Like, how can people learn more about the point of view on conservations when you talk about animal, what you call when you have farm and all that to really protect the wildlife?
So we are actually in a very good space, Tanja, where we live side by side with animals. Okay, we've got animals that in the enclosures, and we've got animals that are roaming around, and those are wild animals. And besides that, we also got our own cattle that move with people, the headsmen. Now, coexistence or living together with animals and human beings, and at the same time being able to produce food is what we are doing, and it's possible. We've come to learn and believe that it is possible. You can do farming at the same time you can live with wild animals. Why? Because we are coexisting, we live in the same space. So I'll give you an example. There are certain crops that when we do, we find we have a number of birds that come to eat the crops. An example is sunflower. Okay. We also have peanuts. You'd find you have a lot of birds and certain moths that come to eat. But there are controls or measures that we get to encourage farmers to say, unlike in instances where you want to poach them or eat them or remove them from nature, you can actually live side by side with the animals, because you realize that when you plant, for example, 1 hectare of sunflower, you have all these bees, birds coming to eat, but the truth is they will not finish your harvest. In a way, you will learn a number of things to say they control pests, they control diseases, they control um, different predators, because in the ecosystem there's a balance. There are certain birds that eat or prey on certain insects that are dangerous to your crops, but the birds will come and feed on those. It could be worms or certain insects. Now, those are some of the natural mechanisms that people get to learn, that actually the in nature itself has a way it balances up the moment you don't get to disturb. And that goes to the way in which we till the land. You'd find here the way that we work on the soil, it's different from the way other farmers do it. Us, we don't just plow or dig everywhere. We only dig or rip in places where we want to plant. Why? Because you don't want to disturb the soil. You leave the microbes, you leave the living organisms in the soil undisturbed or minimally disturbed. Then those that begin to feed on the soil, hence producing nitrogen and different minerals which are essential for your crops. So even the decomposition itself of your organic matter. So those are like some of the benefits that we've come to see as you practice organic farming or conservation farming. There are practices that we encourage that would rebuild your soil. They'll create a balance in the ecosystem. And that, having said that, it's not an overnight thing, by the way, Tanja. It's something that happens through and through, like over a long period of time. Because people think when you speak of conservation farming, it's an overnight solution or it's an overnight practice. It is a lifetime practice that people need to adopt. But the good part is you have very healthy food, very healthy harvest, which are not just good for you as a person, but for the animals. For example, our chimps here, they eat almost everything that we produce, as well as our community. They eat the most healthy food. Then besides that, away from animals and people, you find the soil itself begins to give us proper nutrition. We don't now use so much fertilizers or too many chemicals at all. You find in the end, you have controlled diseases, you've controlled fertility issues. Now the soil is able just to give you the original state, and that is able to produce what you want.
That sounds amazing. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what is the critical issues with the chimps in the wild? Like, what are they facing in the wild? And why are you doing what you do to really make an impact for the chimps that can also stay in the wild?
So, chimpanzees, ideally, like in Zambia, they are not originally from here. But this is like one of the best weather patterns, sanctuary, where they can live as they are rescued from different parts of the world. Now, when they come here, they need to feed and live in an environment that is close to nature, or that is close to being in the wild, unlike being in a household setup or in a zoo or in a setup that is full of contact with human beings. So at Chimfunshi, we are doing our very best to give the chimpanzees the environment that is ideal for them when they're in the forest, when they're in the wild. So you'd find even in the manner that we keep them, and in the manner that we give them food, one, there's less contact with people. People can't play with them. Two, the food that we give them the food that is almost as close as to the one that is in nature. It has no chemicals, it has no GMOs, it has no pesticides, it has no fertilizers. So that brings back the natural healthy of the chimpanzees. That balance, always we believe it starts with the right diet that the chimps are eating and also the manner in which we're keeping them.
Sounds amazing. So what I'm curious now also to the people that don't know exactly what is happening in Africa with the chimps, like what is happening, like what is the critical issues they are facing in the wild, and why does they come in the first place to you guys?
Okay, so amongst the many critical issues that are faced is the issue of poaching. Then there is also the issue of diseases, the zoonotic diseases that can be passed from us people to animals and vice versa. So you find, like in Africa, in most countries, chimpanzees are used for entertainment in certain countries. Others, they use them just as pets. Others just want to interact with them. Then there are some people that actually eat chimpanzees, so they are an endangered species. So we make sure now that the chimps are well protected and we are providing that sanctuary for them. And you might want to know that certain chimpanzees that were brought, for example, to Chimfunshi when they were younger, and even those that were born here, cannot easily be taken back to the wild because they are used, number one, to this environment, and secondly, there isn't proper care in the wild. When you release them back, the chances are very high that they can be poached again. Either they'll be slaughtered for their meat or they'll be caged as a pet or for entertainment by somebody. So it's very important that they are kept in a very safe and secured environment.
Oh, sounds amazing. So tell us a little bit about what is, you have touched a little bit of space on it, what is the strategy that you are using right now that is very that's thriving, that's good, that's really making a change where you really connect with other regions?
Okay, so mainly the strategy that is being implemented is a holistic approach, as I said, where we are looking at interactions, not just among us ourselves. We are learning a number of practices from other countries where chimpanzees are kept under a very controlled and regulated environment. And we've had keepers, for example, from Zambia. These are people that look after the chimpanzees. They get to interact with other keepers, say in Liberia, it could be Uganda, Rwanda, different countries. That is another one. Then there's also common practices that are from our regulated body, which is PASA. So we follow those regulations to make sure that we are in line and in tune with the acceptable standards that regulate the way chimpanzees should be handled. Then on a local level, we also work closely with the government through the Ministry of Tourism and in Zambia, which are looking at game parks, national parks, and wildlife. So we follow those strict protocols that are there to on a global level, even at a local level, in the way wildlife, specifically chimpanzees, should be handled.
Oh, sounds amazing. What is the people outside that is not living in Africa or not living in your regions in Africa? What is there some actions they could do to really make a huge difference for your guys, for the chimps and your work?
Well, we've got actually a number of nice programs for people who are out there. They could be outside Africa, within Africa. These volunteer programs, number one. We've got programs for attachments or internship. Then we also have an open space, which is our website, our social media pages and handles. People can read so much about what is happening, for example, here at Chimpunshi. So amongst these things that I've mentioned, if somebody wants to make a difference for the chimpanzees, they are free to choose and look through the website, whether they want to just send in the kind of help that we need. It could be towards medicals, it could be towards food, the feeding of chimpanzees, it could be towards the community, because we've got a school, for example, for our kids from neighboring farms and our own kids here. We also have the hospital, like a clinic for people, and also have the clinic for animals. So there are all those needs, because the cost of running such a project, it's not an easy one. It's quite expensive and it's quite involving. So it's always a good gesture, and we're always grateful if people get to come in and help, either in person or they do it via mechanisms, different platforms online. That really goes a long way, because we have, imagine, Tanja, we are sitting on 10,000 hectares of land, and we've got over 150 chimpanzees, which per day one chimp eats up to 15 kilos of food.
Oh, wow.
That is food, and it's not cheap food to produce.
No.
So just feeding the chimpanzees, it's not an easy job. Even just for us to get to produce that amount of food is not easy. We need a lot of resources to put into our farm, to put into outsourcing for extra food for the chimps. It's not an easy thing. So people can make that difference by helping feed the chimp, by helping with medical issues that the chimps face. Because, by the way, those that do not know, a chimpanzee is over 98% closer DNA to us as humans, meaning the diseases that they face, from respiratory diseases to other diseases that are in people, diabetes and all those things, they also get to experience that. Now you can imagine the medical bills that we get to face just to handle chimpanzees that are sick. So people can come through and help such chimps that are in poor shape. And also we do medicals just to check on our chimpanzees and how they're doing. It's not an easy venture. It's quite expensive to get the test kits and all those things. So there are so many needs that people out there can either come in person or can support remotely.
Oh, yes, interesting. And you guys that's here with us with Felix Nine Live, I've just put all the links in the chat, so please go follow them when you are here with us. So I'm curious to know, Felix, that when a person come outside, like tourists, like I know like a lot of people, I'm from Denmark, like traveling to Africa, and it's very like, well, no country or land in the world where people want to experience like wildlife and what is happening out there. Like, how can a person outside to like empower the farmers or making a huge impact on the farms and the climate with some practice as some tools or information they get to know before they're traveling and when they are tourists in your country?
Well, so for people that have not been, for example, to Africa or to Zambia, specifically here at Chimfunshi, I know the expectations might be based off what you watch on the internet, on TV, or what you've heard from people. There are so many things that I would love to share with you, of which amongst the many is number one, it's a very lovely place, very good weather pattern, very beautiful place. It's remote, far away from the main city, which is like over 65 kilometers away from the nearest town. So you can come and experience being in the jungle or being in the wild. We are surrounded by trees and different wild animals, which are away from the chimpanzees. These are just roaming around and they move freely. So You can also find or can also be part of the different programs that Chimfunshi offers. From farmers, we don't just work with our own farm. We've got neighbors and these villages surround us. Now, we support those villages by also engaging them, by teaching them to learn about conservation and how they can also produce food and make a decent living out of what they're doing. So as tourists, as volunteers come through, they will get to learn about how we're practicing coexistence between us here and our neighbors. We've got the Kafue River, which is one of the longest rivers in Africa, which we share about 16.5 of it is here in Chimfunshi. People go for canoeing. You can learn about the methods we use to protect the rivers from people who are doing excessive fishing in Tanja. People are using different methods of fishing, using mosquito nets, they are blasting, using dynamites. And also we have all these programs that we get to sensitize people on. Exactly. So as a person from out there, you experience nature, you camp outside if you want. There are different campsites that we have. Of course, you can see the most beautiful sunsets when you're here. It's really an amazing place.
It is, and you're sharing amazing small videos and pictures. Definitely, like I follow you on Facebook, so to you guys, you can really get the sense of like how amazing it is, what you can experience, and like traveling outside and live outside for the country, you really experience yourself on a total new level. Like you learn about yourself, you have never learned about yourself. Like I really encourage you all to really travel outside, really get out of your comfort zone, because by trying to take yourself out of your comfort zone, you are also making a huge change for conservation, because you learn about yourself and you also learn about how is it to live out there where it is happening, like in real life.
Exactly. And you know, just adding to that, you'd find the way food is grown in Africa, for example, it might be a bit different from Europe or in America, in the US and all that. So you come and learn about the practices that have been in existence for generations and generations. And those are things that people had abandoned after there was all these issue of mechanization, technology, and all. And now people distorted the soil. You'd find, due to the excessive use of fertilizers, chemicals, most of the farms, as we speak today, they can't produce as much as they should. Therefore, when people now come to us, we get to teach them now to say, this is a way you can grow food in a very healthy manner, both for you and for the soil that is producing it. So there are all these programs that we've embarked on. They don't just focus on rebuilding the soil, they focus on how a bee in nature will come and feed on the nectar on my sunflower, on my tomato, and not die because there are pesticides and all that, you know. So you'd find we've got more bees than any other place. They are roaming in here because there's enough water, there's good nectar which doesn't have chemicals. So those are things that people should expect as they get to visit us. They can visit a farm, they can be part of the program that we do at a farm. And as we get to share, even on our social media platforms, we get to share what exactly we are doing. But it's always very easy and important to see it in person.
Yeah, exactly. I'm interested, like how, in your point of view, like how can the people and like conservation nature find together? Like what do you see in front of you in 1 year? What will happen there in 1 year? How people and the nature as the wildlife can thrive together?
So with our plan that was started in 2022, we've got a very good strategic plan that goes all the way to 2028. Today, as I speak, we're almost halfway into the next 3 years from today, 2.5 years, is the amazing transition, Tanja, that has taken place. I'll go back in history 2-3 years ago when we started, before I tell you for the next 1 year or 2 years what it would be, is when we started, our soils were completely dilapidated, you know.
Oh, wow.
Then we slowly started rebuilding. And that process takes long, as I said, but in like 3.5 years, we've reduced significantly on the dependence of on chemicals and fertilizers. Now, in the next 2 years, the next 1 year, even the land size that we're doing today, it will be almost double. To me, that is a plus. It's not easy to do that in less than 5 years or in the period that we've done it. Then also in the next 1-2 years, just now started engaging actively, inviting neighboring farmers to come and see what we are doing, not just to see, but to learn as well and practice with us. Because we realized already that the people that surround us, they influence what is happening around our ecosystem. So if we don't practice the same things, our work will be almost equal to zero. So it's a more reason why now we are working hand in hand with the community outside Chimfunshi, besides having over over 400 people within Chimfunshi. Outside, we've got so many people who are coming to see what's happening. So this is the growth that we are projecting the next 1-2 years to make sure that surrounding farmers at least are aware about how to protect the environment and how the environment can take care of them as people.
Oh, that is amazing. Yeah. That is so amazing. Tell us a little bit about, to you guys, if you have some questions to Felix, please put it in the chat, because you have the opportunity to ask Felix your questions in a bit. So think about, like, what is the question you have inside you, something you're curious about, some information you need, please put it in the chat. In a bit, you're also welcome to ask Felix from yourself, where you can unmute yourself. So Felix, what is the 3 extra steps a person can do, no matter where they are in the world? Like, of course, supporting you, to you guys, and also donate monies, be volunteer. Like, what else is some extra steps they can do wherever they are in their life?
Well, so away from donations or coming to volunteer, I think the other major issues that people can really be part of is the education system, or the education part of Chimfunshi. We are not just talking about school. We have the school, of course, but being part of the conservation awareness programs that we have, where we are teaching people to say, this is how we mitigate on climate-related issues. This is how we take care of the animals or wildlife around us. This is how we take care of nature. Then also, people can be part of what Chimfunshi does by being part of the bigger community that creates awareness or talks about Chimfunshi from wherever they can be, and now reach out to their friends, their colleagues, and spread the message of Chimfunshi. Then from that, we are also in a space where poaching and trespassing and all that, because of the human-animal conflict issues that are around different sanctuaries. So people now can be part of programs that can help us protect the sanctuary, protect the animals that are here. So there are all these challenges that we face every day. We've got bushfires, Tanja, that they've been, I'm sure you've seen. It's not easy to control those. They disturb so much.
Are you still there, Felix? The sounds is all probably Felix. Oh, Felix express. Felix, your internet is a little bit bad. Can you hear me, Felix? Just write an email to him. miss it.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear. We can hear you.
Okay, sorry I lost you a bit, but
That's
I think
okay.
I'm okay. Yeah.
So the action step people can do is just really get involved in your program, in your information, what you're doing. They can donate, they can be volunteer. If they don't have the money to donate or to be volunteer, like what are some action steps they can do? Also, like sharing your videos and informations, get to know, like learn about the teams, learn about your work. Like what else can a person do? Like take some big actions.
Yes, so I think before the internet broke, I was trying to explain that
Okay.
away from giving and all, people can be involved by sharing the message of Chimfunshi with their colleagues, their friends. We do get to post about what's happening here.
Yeah.
So that is something people can do. Then also people can get to learn about what we are doing here. Then we should be able now to spread the message of conservation awareness that we stand on. Then I was also mentioning about the education programs that we have. We've got a school, of course, for our kids here, but also a program that focuses on teaching farmers, not just our farmers here, but outside Chimfunshi, who need to know about conservation practices. So whether somebody has got money or not, they can be able to share that message, whether on their social media or with their colleagues. That can also help Chimfunshi to have visibility and be known.
Yeah.
Then away from that, there are campaigns that we do online and also just within Chimfunshi that people can get to be part of and get to create that awareness in their circles and also wherever they can be. Those are things that we do not need so much money or any money at all to get involved in. Then besides that, we do have also specific programs that people can find out more on our website, on our social media, and they can get to learn and pick which activities are of interest to them.
Yeah, that sounds
Sure.
good. So the last question I would like to ask you is like, what does it mean for you to be a conservative? Like a conservative that really paid forward by the actions.
So as conservationists, Tanja, we operate in a space where there are a number of myths and opposition, if I may say so. And I'll speak from an agricultural point of view, where people look at productivity and profit, which is money.
Yeah.
So people feel when they use, for example, herbicides to kill the weeds and the grass, when they use pesticides to kill the pests, the diseases in the crops, they feel it's cheaper. When they use fertilizers and all kinds of chemicals, they feel it's more effective and more quicker and cheaper, which in the short term, it is okay. But in the long run, you find they are distorting, they are destroying their soil, destroying their nature, they are destroying their ecosystem. And the way the world is that each animal, each pest, each organism has got a role to play. And people shouldn't feel just because humans are more smart and we can do what we want to other small living organisms. That way you find nature will kick back in a way that we wouldn't be happy about. You find, like what I'd mentioned, when you excessively use chemicals or fertilizers, your soil becomes bad. You have pests that are resistant to your sprays and the chemicals that you're spraying, meaning you need to spray more and more for it to control the diseases and the pests. But if you work with nature, you will find that for you to control pests, for you to control the growth rate of your crops, of course, people want to produce more using minimum labor, minimum inputs, because for your own information, conservation farming is really labor intensive. And people do not want to put in the work, so they would rather use a few people and just, disturb what nature has. So what I've learned and what I always say is that patience is always key. Even if you're in business as a farmer, make sure that in the manner that you're producing food, it should be sustainable. It shouldn't be destructive to you as a consumer or to an animal that will eat your food, or worse off, to the soil that is producing the food for you. The chain is simple. It's just three things. Take care of the soil. Then the soil takes care of you. Then when you're healthy and you're okay, you live a happy, good life. And you will not need to always, treat and all those things or have complications, health issues, because you're consuming food that is contaminated.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good point, yeah. So we have a question for one that is with us live, Felix, for Al. Al, would you like to ask Felix by yourself, or do you need me to ask him? Because I can see you're still here with us live. You're welcome to unmute yourself, or you have unmute. You're welcome to ask him the questions.
Hi, Felix. I'm from Malaysia. Actually, my country got a lot of orangutans, so compared to your country, chimpanzees. So anyway,
Yes.
what I'm like to ask is, how's the weather like in Zambia? Like do they have any like natural disaster affecting the forestry and affecting the habitat of the chimpanzee, like a drought, or even like water pollution from the rivers and all that, will affect the livelihood of the chimpanzees, So maybe you can explain more about that, in your country.
Okay.
Besides the poaching, of course. Yeah, poaching is quite common, in Africa.
Okay, thank you so much. So Zambia is not exceptional, Chan, to natural calamities, but the most common one is droughts. We had a very bad drought in the year 2023 going to 2024, which was actually declared as a national disaster because it didn't rain as much. Now, that in terms of farming, it affected a lot of farmers because they are unable to produce enough food. And there was a lot of aid that was being requested from countries that had food and all. So you realize there is also a component of human interference, which is we have a lot of people cutting down trees for charcoal to use for firewood and to sell as a business for people who live in the city. That is also a major problem that you realize is common in Africa, and it's causing a lot of desertification because in areas, by the way, you find where people have cut down a lot of trees, it doesn't rain as much as it rains here. Well, we keep our trees, our Miombo forest intact. Then you also realize when I speak of pollution, I think I had mentioned also we have the river, which is one of the major rivers here in Zambia. But for the fact that we are living in a mining town, the mining companies are also using the same water for them to wash their minerals, and also to some even have accidents where they have spillage into the mines. And you can imagine what that, if it could be sulfur or mercury or different chemicals going into the water, aqua life dies. People now can't drink that water for a certain period because it's contaminated. We've had those cases. Then there's also people fishing in a very bad manner where people use mosquito nets. They also use dynamite. They would blast in the river and kill anything that is living in there, from frogs to small fishes and all. So those are some of the challenges that we get to face. And also people just coming generally to poach. And by the way, listeners and viewers, you should know that Chimfunshi is almost at the border of DRC, Congo, and Zambia. So there's a lot of trafficking of animals and smuggling of things. So there's all these issues of security besides natural issues or problems that come with the weather or people's actions in regards to the safety maybe of the sanctuary or the farm itself. But yeah, generally those are some of the issues that we face. I hope I've maybe answered your question.
Do you have something? He says. Thank you, Ella. He said something in the comments. There is
Okay.
certain things. Can you see the comment, Felix?
Okay. I think I've seen the question.
Okay, perfect.
Well, so the chimpanzees here at Chimfunshi, they are from different parts of the world where mostly they were confiscated from people who are keeping them in a manner that is not acceptable. Then also some were born here. So if you want, as a person, it's not allowed for you as an individual to adopt a chimp. But if you find a chimp which is kept by a family, by an individual it's not in the wild or it's not in a proper sanctuary, you can always get in touch to places like Chimfunshi. Then they'll tell the procedures and all the processes on how that animal can be rescued and brought to a place where it will be safe and taken care of properly. But otherwise, chimpanzees are not pets, so they can't be given to people to be kept as a pet.
That's a good point. Did you have something else, Al, to ask?
No, all good, all good. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much for your question. So guys,
Okay.
is there someone else here on the with Felix and I that you have a question to ask, because you have the time now? We have only a few minutes left with Felix time, so you have the chance to ask him whatever you wanted to ask him about. So you have some few minutes. Is there something else that is on your heart right now, Felix, that is important for the audience and that is with us live to know about your work and what we are talking about? Is there something that you would like to share about?
Okay, so the other thing I would love to share, I would talk about is just to clarify the misconceptions surrounding conservation farming. As I mentioned when we started, it's a long-term process, and people are always encouraged not to drop instantly the practices that they are doing. It takes years. So, for example, if I get to teach you about conservation farming, I will not come to you with a message of saying, stop using these chemicals, stop using these fertilizers today. You have to follow the transition phase until your soil is good enough to grow your food without any fertilizers, without any chemicals. Then there is also an issue of infestations from pests, diseases in the environment. Why? Because you've got neighboring farmers, and pests, locusts, grasshoppers, and all these worms, they migrate. So for example, if my neighbor sprays, those tiny things will start moving to a place where they don't spray. They'll move to safety, in short. So you should learn that if you are surrounded by farmers that are using chemicals, all the insects, all the animals will run to you because you are not using those dangerous chemicals. So they will go or come to you, or they will find safety. Now, you have to find ways on how you control those diseases and those pests that will come to your farm. So under conservation farming, mainly we practice crop rotation, for example, to avoid monocropping, so that you can have different crops, and that cuts on the cycle of pests and diseases. Secondly, we also get to use organic pesticides, and those many what would also help you to control or deter the pests from attacking your crops. Then also, as I mentioned, we live in the same ecosystem. You need to keep certain animals, certain birds that will help you control the population of pests that are in the fields.
That's a good point. And I have another question for you, Felix. There's like the lifespan of a chimps and how many years can they live? If you still have a little bit of time to answer.
Okay, so chimpanzees, remember I'd mentioned they're almost like us, 98% DNA almost like humans. So, but their lifespan is a little bit shorter from humans. Most of them, they live from 40, 50 up to 60 something.
Oh, wow.
But it's almost like us. Yeah. And that is dependent on a number of reasons, from the way they are being looked after and where they live, and their exposure to people and diseases. All that also determines how long they can live.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So guys, this is the last chance you have to ask Felix a question. So Felix, thank you so much for bottom of our hearts, my heart, for you to really come on here to share the most important work that is for the gyms and the farms and the ecosystem, and how we can really learn about it and how we can protect it and stand together as a community to support you guys. So with the last word, what would you like to end this interview with?
Okay, so in view of Chimfunshi, my last remarks are that if you've never been to Zambia or Africa, this should be on your on your calendar. Find time to visit Chimfunshi. If you can't do it anytime soon, you can check out our website. You can look out for our Facebook, Instagram pages. You read so much about us. Then to those that are interested in farming and you want to learn how you can protect your environment at the same time produce food, remember, this is the business of patience. So you have to exercise patience and be diligent in the way you're handling your farm. Then also remember that there is a very big role that us as humans play, since we claim to be smarter than other species. We have to take the lead and make sure that there's a balance between nature, us, and the entire ecosystem, because biodiversity is the key. We can't exist in silos. We can't exist alone. Like just, wanting to be just you humans. There are other microorganisms that you can't see with your naked eyes, but you can look at them in a microscope, and they've got a role they play in the ecosystem for your food production, as well as to prevent certain diseases, and even just to create a balance that this whole creation of the earth has. So those microbes, those organisms, they're very important to you as a farmer, to me as a person. Then also remember that it's possible to produce food in a more sustainable way, and making sure that you do not distort or disturb the natural way that the ecosystem is. Thank you.
You are most welcome. Thank you. With that, guys, please go and follow them. I will just put it in the chats. Their Instagram, in the LinkedIn, and the webpage, and the Facebook is in the chat. So please go follow them so that you stay updated, stay connected, and really can see like everything is possible. You get to make a choice, choose to come down there to visit them, and you will make the way down there. That is not the question. It's just, are you committed or not? So please be committed so that you really stay informed and stay as a responsible person in this world, and really give back by the actions you're taking on a daily basis. So thank you so much, Felix, and thank you so much for what you're doing. It has been a blessing, and I cannot wait to support you guys after this amazing interview.
Thank you so much, Tanja, for having me, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining our program today.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much, Felix. Have an amazing day. Talk to you soon, my friend. And thank you so much for you that joining us live. It means so much to Felix and I for you to be here. So please go follow them and share the work right now. And also, like, you're welcome to send them an email with like, what is your takeout, your questions. So take action for that, so that you really choose to value your time you have spent here with us right now today. So thank you so much, Felix, again.
Thanks.
See you guys. Have an amazing day.
Bye. Thank you.